Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Asif Ali Sayed from the Department of Business Administration, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. Today, we shall be discussing about the module Role of Government in Skills Development of the paper Skill Development and Social Entrepreneurship. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand the concept and relevance of skills development and get familiar with dimensions of types of skills, requisite skills and skill development provided for by the government. Introduction to role of government in skill development. A skill is the learned ability to carry out a task which can be improved or developed by training. This is according to the International Labour Organizational definition. A skill development is the key importance in stimulating and sustainably developing a process and can make a contribution in facilitating the transition from an informal to formal economy. Education and skill development are the central pillars for improving employability, productivity, sustainable development, which eventually leads to reduction in poverty. Skill development helps to improve both the productivity at the workplace. India is one of the youngest nations in the world. Around 54% of the total population is below 25 years of age. India's education and higher education system contributes 3.5 lakh engineers and 2.5 million university graduates annually to the labor force. India's workforce is the second largest in the world after China's. India's formal skilled workforce is around 2%, while that of China is around 47%. To leverage our demographic dividend, the government launched the Skill India campaign along with Make in India program. Skilling India, imperatives and ecosystem today. India is one of the youngest nations in the world, with more than 62% of its population in the working age group of 15 to 59 years and more than 54% of its total population below 25 years of age. Its population pyramid is expected to bulge across the 15 to 59 years age group over the next decade. It is important and further estimated that the average age of the population in India by 2020 will be 1 in 29 years as against 40 years in USA, 46 in Europe and 47 in Japan. In fact, during the next 20 years, the labor force in the industrialized world is expected to decline by 4%, while in India it will be increasing by 32%. This poses a formidable challenge and a huge opportunity to reap this demographic dividend, which is expected to last for the next 25 years. India needs thus to equip its workforce with employable skills and knowledge so that it can contribute substantially to the economic growth of the country. Our country presently faces a dual challenge of paucity of high-trained workforce as well as non-employability of large sections of the conventionally educated youth who possess little or no job skills. So, the Ministry for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, earlier the Department of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, notified in July 2014, has set up in November 2014 to give a fresh impetus to the Skill India agency and help create an appropriate ecosystem that facilitates imparting employable skills to its growing workforce over the few next decades. Apart from meeting its own demand, India has a potential to provide skilled workforce to fill the expected shortfall in the aging developed world. As India moves progressively towards becoming a global knowledge economy, it must meet the rising aspirations of its youth. This can be partially achieved through focus on the advancement of skills that are relevant to the emerging economic development and environment. The challenge pertains not only to a huge quantitative expansion of the facilities for skill training, but also to the equally important task of raising their quality. Skill development, however, cannot be viewed in isolation. Skills are germane to, but not always sufficient for securing adequate economic dividends. Skills need to be an integral part of employment and economic growth strategies to spur employability and productivity. Coordination with other national macroeconomic paradigms and growth strategies is therefore critical. It is assumed that during the 5-year plan period from 2004-5 to 2009-10, only 2.7 million net additional jobs were created in the country. For a skills strategy to be successful, it should be complemented by commensurate creation of jobs in the primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors, which will be a key outcome of overall economic growth, including entrepreneurship cutting across all sectors. The Indian capacity for harnessing entrepreneurship has not been fully realized. The MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises sector contributes to only 17% of GDP as 3 compared to 85% in Taiwan, 60% in China and 50% in Singapore. Given the realities of rapidly changing economic landscape in the country, entrepreneurship opportunities have emerged as an important source of meeting the aspirations of the youth. An all-inclusive approach to strengthening the entrepreneurship development scenario in the country, which is competent, quality conscious, market savvy, innovative and has global competitive entrepreneurs, needs to be carefully mentored and encouraged. Recognizing the imperative need for skill development, National Skill Development Policy was formulated in 2009. Given the vast paradigm shift in the skilling and entrepreneurship ecosystem in the country and the experience gained through implementation of various skill development programs, there is an imminent need to revisit the existing policy. Moreover, the 2009 policy itself provides for review every 5 years to align the policy framework with the emerging trends in the national and international milieu. National Policy for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship 2015 supersedes the policy of 2009. The primary objective of this policy is to meet the challenge of skilling at scale with speed, standard quality and sustainability. It aims to provide an umbrella framework to all skilling activities being carried out within the country, to align them to common standards and link skilling with demand centers. In addition to laying down the objectives and expected outcomes, the policy also identifies the overall institutional framework which will act as vehicle to reach the expected outcomes. Skills development is the shared responsibility of key stakeholders, which is government, the entire spectrum of corporate sector, community-based organization, those outstanding highly qualified and dedicated individuals who have been working in the skilling and entrepreneurship space for many years, industry and trade organizations and other stakeholders. The policy links skills development to improved employability and productivity in paving the way forward for inclusive growth in the country. The skill strategy is complemented by specific efforts to promote entrepreneurship in order to create ample opportunities for the skilled workforce. National Policy on Skill Development and Entrepreneurship 2015. The Ministry, in an integral part of the government's policy on Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas and its commitment to overall human resource development to take advantage of the demographic profile of our country's population in the coming year, has created the developing a comprehensive and holistic policy document is the integral part of the process. This requires a fresh look at the already existing National Policy on Skill Development NP-SD 2009. Modi's Skill Development launched. The objective of the National Policy on Skill Development and Entrepreneurship 2015 will be to meet the challenges of skilling at scale with speed and standard quality. It will aim to provide an umbrella framework to all skilling activities being carried out within the country, to align them to common standards and link the skilling with demand centers. In addition to laying down the objectives and expected outcomes, the effort will also be to identify the various institutional frameworks which can act as the vehicle to reach the expected outcomes. The national policy will also provide clarity and coherence on how skill development efforts across the country can be aligned within the existing institutional arrangements. This policy will link skills development to improved employability and productivity. India's education and skill development structure. Elementary, secondary and higher education is governed by the Ministry of Human Resource Development. University and higher education caters to all college education, whether it is arts, science, commerce, etc. While engineering education, polytechnics, etc. fall under technical education. University Grants Commission (UGC) is the nodal body governing funds, grants and setting standards for teaching, examination and research in universities, and the All India Council for Technical Education (AICT) is the regulatory body for technical education in India. Skill development in India. The first National Skill Development Policy was framed in 2009 and National Skill Development Mission was launched in 2010. A Department of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship was created under the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports in 2014. The ministry works primarily through the National Skill Development Corporation (NSDC), National Skill Development Agency (NSDA) and the Directorate of Training (DT). Government launched National Skill Development Mission (NSDM) along with other schemes such as Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, skill loan schemes and National Policy for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. It seeks to include industrial training institutes (ITI), ATIs, that is Advanced Training Institutes, vocational training at school level and polytechnics to train or skilling around 500 million people by 2022. Institutional framework. There are different institutional frameworks, the first of them being National Council of Skill Development (NCSD), the Ministry for Human Resource Development, Finance, Industries, Rural Development, Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, Labour and Employment and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises are its members. National Skill Development Coordination Board (NSDCB) implements the decisions of National Council on Skill Development. Third is National Skill Development Corporation (NSDC), a public-private partnership (PPP) under the Companies Act 1956. It is expected to mobilize the funds for other governments, public sector entities, private sector, bilateral and multilateral sources and promote and fund private training providers. Skill Development Centers, Sector Skill Council (SSCs), its key role include upgrading the skills of workforce for underprivileged sections of society and backward regions of the country. Also to enhance, support and coordinate private sector initiatives for skill development, etc. Next is National Skill Development Agency, an autonomous body registered under Societies Act. It implements the National Skills Qualification Framework (NSQF) and focuses on Quality Assurance Framework (NSQF) to align skilling outcomes to NSQF. The functions of NSDA will include implement National Skills Qualification Framework (NSQF) to operationalize National Skills Qualification Committee to meet its objective, design and implement the National Labour Market Information System, develop national protocols for registration and accreditation of private training providers, promote use of Skill India logo on skill certificates by SSCs, agencies adhering to the QA framework, and then finally anchor Prime Minister's Skill Development Fellow Program. National Skills Research Division (NSRD) under NSDA will be established to serve as the apex body for providing technical and research support to the mission. It will act as a think tank for Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And then we have Directorate of Training or DT. It comprises of government training and apprentice divisions, private ITIs, PPP, skill schools and other institutions. National Skill Development Mission. The National Skill Development Mission was approved by the Union Cabinet on 1st July 2015 and officially launched by the Honorable Prime Minister on 15th July 2015 on the occasion of World Youth Skills Day. The mission has been developed to create convergence across sectors and states in terms of skill training activities. Further, to achieve the vision of Skilled India, the National Skill Development Mission would not only consolidate the coordinate skilling efforts but also expedite decision making across sectors to achieve skilling at scale with speed and standards. It will be implemented through a streamlined institution mechanism driven by Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship MSDE. The key institutional mechanisms for achieving the objectives of the mission have been divided into three tiers, which will consist of a governing council for policy guidance at the apex level, a steering committee and a mission directorate along with an executive committee as the executive arm of the mission. Mission directorate will be supported by three other institutions: National Skill Development Agency, National Skill Development Corporation and the Directorate General of Training, all of which will have horizontal linkages with Mission Directorate to facilitate smooth functioning of the national institutional mission. 7 sub-missions have been proposed initially to act as building block for achieving the overall objective of the mission. They are institutional training, infrastructure, convergence, trainers, overseas employment, sustainable livelihood and leveraging public infrastructure. Important skill development programs launched by Government of India. Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana PMKVY, a flagship scheme of the Government of India for skill certification and monetary reward, will be provided to trainees who are successfully trained, assessed and certified in skilled courses. UDAN is a special industry initiative for Jammu and Kashmir in the nature of partnership between the Corporate of India and Ministry of Home Affairs and implemented by National Skill Development Corporation, which aims to provide skills training and enhance the employability of unemployed graduates, postgraduates and 3-year engineering diploma holders. Another important skill development program launched by Government of India is STAR, which is an acronym for Standard Training Assessment and Reward. This is also a national skill certificate and monetary reward scheme of the government program launched by Government of India. Summary. Let us summarize what we have perused so far. Education and skill development are the central pillars for improving employability, productivity, sustainable development, which eventually leads to reduction in poverty. Skills development helps to improve both the productivity at the workplace and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Earlier, the Department of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship has set up in November 2014 to give a fresh impetus to Skill India agenda and help create an appropriate ecosystem that facilitates imparting employable skills to its growing workforce over the next few decades. National Policy on Skill Development and Entrepreneurship has launched some major skill development initiatives as Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, UDAN and STAR, Standard Training, Assessment and Reward. Thank you.